Nora clutched her daughter tightly to her chest as she pushed open the heavy door of the diner. Snow blew in behind her, and the bitter cold scraped across her cheeks like tiny needles. Her 5-year-old daughter, Lila, let out a soft cough in her arms. "I'm sorry, baby," Nora whispered, brushing her gloved hand over the child's flushed cheek. "Just a few hours, then we'll go home." She tucked Lila into a booth in the far corner and wrapped her scarf around her like a blanket. It wasn't ideal, but it was safer than leaving her alone in their freezing apartment where the heating had been cut off 2 weeks ago. The diner was already busy, plates clinking, coffee pouring, and the scent of burnt bacon floating through the air. Nora forced a tired smile onto her face and grabbed her notepad. Her double shift had just started. Her manager, Terry, spotted her almost immediately. His eyes narrowed. "You brought her again," he hissed, gesturing toward the booth where Lila sat quietly, coloring on a napkin with a broken crayon. "She's sick, Terry." "I didn't have a choice," Nora said softly. "You always have a choice. You just make bad ones," he snapped, his breath hot with stale coffee. "She can't be here. Health code, liability, you name it." Nora bit her lip, trying not to cry. "Please. Just today. I'll keep her out of sight." "You have until the end of lunch rush," he grunted. "If anyone complains, you're done." She nodded, chest tight. Lila needed medicine. Nora was already behind on rent. One more bad day and everything could fall apart. She worked as quickly as she could, balancing dishes, dodging rude customers, and pretending like she wasn't shaking from fear and exhaustion. But luck wasn't on her side. A man in a gray suit sitting near Lila's booth called over Terry. "Is that a kid in here?" he asked with a frown. "Is she sick?" Terry looked like he had been waiting for that very moment. Nora saw the storm forming in his eyes before it broke. He marched toward her, voice raised. "That's it, Nora. You're done. Take your kid and leave. Don't bother coming back." The world stopped spinning. "No," she breathed. "Please, Terry. I need this job. You should have thought of that before dragging your sick brat in here again." Tears welled in Nora's eyes. Customers stared. Some murmured. Others avoided her gaze entirely. Shaking, she peeled off her apron and scooped Lila into her arms. They stepped out into the snowstorm, with no idea where to go next. What she didn't see, what no one saw, was the man at the end of the counter, watching it all. He set down his coffee quietly, eyes fixed on her retreating figure. And then, he got up. Chapter 2, The Unexpected Second Chance. Nora didn't cry until she reached the bus stop. Lila's head rested on her shoulder, burning with fever. She could barely hold her upright. "I'm sorry, baby," she whispered through sobs. "Mommy's trying. I promise I'm trying." The cold was relentless. It crept under her coat and numbed her fingertips. A deep dread settled in her chest. How would she feed Lila now? What if the fever got worse? Just then, a sleek black car pulled up beside the bench. Nora flinched. The passenger side window rolled down, and a man leaned out. His face was familiar. "Excuse me," he said gently. "You worked at Charlie's diner, right?" She recognized him now. He had been sitting at the far end, quiet, alone. Nora nodded hesitantly. "Yes. Not anymore." He smiled faintly. "Good. That place didn't deserve you." She stared at him, confused. "My name's Ethan Carrington," he said. "I just bought that diner yesterday." Nora blinked. "You, what?" "I saw what happened in there. I've seen a lot of things over the years. But the way you handled everything, even while terrified, exhausted, and caring for your child, that's rare." Nora was too stunned to speak. "I'm looking for people like that. Not just workers. Fighters. People with heart." Lila coughed softly. Ethan's eyes flicked to the child with something like tenderness. "Get in the car. I'll take you both to the clinic. And then, if you're willing, I'd like to offer you a job." Nora looked down at Lila, who stirred weakly. She'd been holding on for so long, with nothing but scraps of hope. Her pride told her to walk away. But her daughter's fever whispered otherwise. They got in. The next few days were a blur. Ethan paid for Lila's treatment. He moved Nora and her daughter into a temporary apartment. He introduced her to the diner staff he was rebuilding from scratch. "You're not just a waitress here," he told her one morning. "You're the heart of the place. I want you to be the new manager." Nora stared at him in disbelief. "Why me?" He smiled. "Because you never gave up on your daughter or on yourself. That matters to me." It turned out Ethan had grown up poor too. His mother once cleaned floors at diners just like Nora's. He never forgot her struggles. Now, as a self-made entrepreneur, he made it a point to invest in people who reminded him of where he came from. Weeks passed. Nora found herself smiling again, truly smiling. Lila's health improved. She laughed again. And every time Ethan stopped by the diner, Nora's heart fluttered just a little more. One snowy evening, she found a note tucked in the cash register. "Some people see your struggle. The right people see your strength." Nora closed her eyes and pressed the note to her chest. She had no idea where life was going. But for the first time in years, she believed it was going somewhere beautiful. Closing voiceover, for end of video. Sometimes, it only takes one person to see your worth when the world refuses to. If this story touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us hope can come from the unlikeliest of places. Until next time. The clinic was quiet, warm, and glowing with soft light. Ethan had made a call, and suddenly doors opened, fees were waived, and doctors responded with care and urgency. Nora sat outside the examination room, her hands shaking, her eyes swollen. Ethan brought her tea. "She'll be okay," he said gently. "It's a severe respiratory infection, but caught early. She just needs meds, warmth, rest." Tears streamed down Nora's cheeks. "Thank you." He sat beside her, not saying much. Just being there. That night, Ethan paid for a warm motel room for them. The heater buzzed steadily, and Lila finally slept peacefully. The next day, he returned. "I meant what I said. I just bought that diner. I want to reopen it, with better management, better people. People who care." Nora shook her head. "I'm just a waitress." "No," he said. "You're someone who didn't give up. You're someone I'd be proud to have running the place." Her lips parted in disbelief. "You've managed your life, your child, your job, with so little help. Imagine what you could do with support." She felt something shift in her chest. A new kind of emotion she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Days passed. The diner reopened under a new name, Lila's Corner. Ethan said he wanted it named after someone who reminded him that good things come from small, unseen places. Nora worked as the general manager. The same waitresses who once ignored her now looked to her for guidance. Ethan visited often. Sometimes for business, sometimes to check on Lila. He brought books, puzzles, little jackets. And sometimes, when the diner quieted, they talked. Really talked. One night, Nora asked, "Why are you really doing all this?" Ethan looked at her and said, "Because I grew up with a single mom who worked 3 jobs. No one helped her. I always told myself, if I ever made it, I'd help someone like her." Nora felt something break and mend in the same moment. "You did," she whispered. One snowy afternoon, Nora watched as Lila ran in circles near the counter, laughing again. She turned to Ethan. "You saved us." He smiled. "You just needed a little push. The strength was always yours." And in that moment, surrounded by warmth, food, laughter, and second chances, Nora knew life had changed. Not because someone rescued her, but because someone saw her. And this time, she was finally seen. Microphone closing voiceover. Sometimes the world is too quick to judge the surface. But those who look deeper, they find gold. If Nora's story moved you, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more stories of hope, courage, and second chances. Someone out there needs to know, it gets better.